Hey everyone, welcome to the RotoGrinders Morning Grind Podcast. I'm your host, Stevietpfl. It is Monday. Yes, it's Monday. It's January 9th, Week 18, NFL in the books. Dolphins going to the playoffs. Not optimistic, but happy they made the playoffs for, I think, the third time since 2000. So as a Dolphins fan, through and through, at least happy we made it, because at this point, it wouldn't have mattered draft pick-wise. But excited for a nice little 6-game NBA slate to get the week started off. Joined today by my friend Christy Metzger, Krayton12. Christy, how's it going?
It's going great, Stevie. I know it's been a while since we've done the morning grind together, and I know just kind of catching up on watching a lot of good football today. Like you said, your Dolphins are in, and I'm really surprised mostly by the Houston game. I really thought, they kind of had that Hail Mary at the end, kind of giving the Bears the number one draft pick. So yeah, there's some kind of crazy games today, but finishing up with the Packers tonight.
What are the Texans doing?
Right? That was crazy. I just honestly couldn't believe it. I thought, gosh, and then they went for the 2-point conversion, and yeah, that was the craziest thing I've seen.
When they went for 2, I was like, he's throwing it into the ground or he's taking a sack.
That's what I thought too.
And yeah, I don't know. I wasn't even trying to troll on Twitter earlier. I have no idea what happened in that game. So yeah, NFL Week 18. I mean, there was some fun stuff. The Green Bay and the Detroit game's going right now. Detroit's coach Campbell. Hey, we just don't want them to make it. So it's been a pretty good game. I mean, pretty low scoring, but a ton of fun. So excited for basketball to be back. If you're hanging out on YouTube, hope everyone had a fantastic weekend. If you're not hanging out on YouTube and you're listening, however you listen to the podcast, we hope you had a good weekend as well. 6 games, and we're going to jump right in and get started with New Orleans at Washington taking on the Wizards. This game is currently at a 228 total, and the Wizards are a 1.5 point favorite. On the Pelican side, Ingram and Zion Williamson are both out. On the Washington side, Bradley Beal remains out. Johnny Davis is out. Makes a huge difference. We'll go New Orleans first. What do you like for the Pelicans today?
Yeah, so for the Pelicans, I mean, with Zion out, I know CJ McCollum was out last game, but he's expected to be in today. So, I mean, he gets the biggest, usage bump with Zion out. So certainly have interest in him. He's at 32% usage rate with Zion out. Certainly have interest in Jonas Valanciunas too. I mean, he kind of gets the next bump up in usage there at 25.6%. So do have some interest in him. Marshall is starting to get priced up there a little bit. However, I mean, he's still a good play. He's been putting up some big numbers here too, in the starting role and with Zion out. So, I mean, those are 3 of the guys that I'm probably looking at, but McCollum certainly makes a great play with Zion being out.
Yeah. I mean, CJ McCollum, 8,500, 1.17 fantasy points per minute, 31.7% usage rate over the last week with no Zion and no Ingram. The guy that I've been, paying attention to is Valanciunas. He's 6,600 here. He's playing solid minutes and he's producing. He's producing at a 1.2 fantasy point per minute. That's higher than CJ McCollum. McCollum's going to play more minutes and have more usage, but we're getting Valanciunas at $1,900 cheaper on DraftKings. So have a ton of interest here in Valanciunas. You mentioned Najee Marshall. He's been someone that's just been a fantastic value play here with Zion out. I think at 55, he's still very playable.
Agreed.
He keeps getting that price increase, and he starts getting into that like 6,600 type range. The conversation will be a little bit more, is he worth it kind of conversation. But I think at this price with the minutes that he's playing, I have no problems with that. And then, I mean, that's really it for me. You could take some shots on Alvarado at 4,500 if you want to. He's cheap. It's a 6-game slate. I'm going to wait and see what value opens up throughout the day. But as of right now, I mean, I think he plays like that 25 to 30 minute role. And I mean, he's putting up a ton of shots. So for a bench guy, he's going to be someone that's, probably going to get double digit points. So that's kind of what I'm looking at here on the New Orleans side. And then the Washington side, I mean, Porzingis is 9,400 and he's just going to have a field day in this game. If they feed him the basketball, he's just going to have a field day. I just don't know if he's necessarily worth 9,400. Kuzma's 8,400. What are your thoughts here when it comes to Washington?
Yeah, exactly. I know they're priced up, like you said. Should absolutely have a field day. No Beal out. They both have kind of an equal amount of usage. I mean, both at 30% usage with Beal off of the floor. So yeah, I mean, I think they're both fine plays. I think you could maybe even throw, depending on what value and things like that come out. But I mean, I think you could even throw Rui in there. His usage bumps up to almost 24%. I know he doesn't start, but certainly someone that you could look at too. But yeah, I think I like the discount on Kuzma, but both of them are fine GPP plays for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, after that it gets kind of murky. Hachimura 4,700. We want it to work. He's someone that we want to work. Monte Morris 4,800. He's kind of in that same range where you're like, let's see what value opens up on a 4-game slate or 6-game slate, and see, like, remembering, like, in the back of your mind that, like, hey, this is the first game of the slate kind of thing, and I don't want to go. It's the only 7:00 game, so you're like, maybe I wait and see if anything opens up. Maybe stuff opens up throughout the day as well. So those are like fringe value plays for me on both sides of this game. So
exactly.
I wanted to note really quick, Larry Nance is probable for this game. He played 21 minutes Friday when he returned. If you could guess that he gets like a 5-minute to 8-minute bump in this game, he's 4,600, and he's someone that has double upside. So totally forgot. It was an oversight on my part.
That's a great point.
Listen, it's Sunday night, which is a Monday for me, with my schedule. So listen, it happens. All right. Here we go. Chicago at Boston. 237 total in this game. The Celtics an 8.5-point favorite. On the Boston side, Gallinari is out. Marcus Smart is doubtful. On the Chicago side, Ball remains out. Caruso and Green are questionable. Like, for me, when I was looking at this slate, I was like, why is the total of this game so high? It threw me off so much because, I mean, like, Boston is a team that is kind of middle of the road in pace. Chicago is 12th, so it's not like we have two really fast-paced teams here. And defensively, like, Chicago's 20th, Boston is 7th. So, like, to me, it feels like this total is a little high. What are your thoughts on the Chicago Bulls here?
Yes, I agree with you on the high total for sure. On the Bulls side of it, the Bulls have been playing well. Zach LaVine is a player that's really been playing well as of late, and his price doesn't seem to move a lot. It has gone up about $600 on FanDuel, but on DK it's still $7,500. And he's had a couple of games here recently that just have been incredible. Put up 50 fantasy points last outing, game before 62. So 3 out of the 4 games have been just really, really solid for him. Shooting a lot of 3-pointers, shooting the most 3-pointers on the team. So I think he's a very good tournament play. I like him. DeRozan has certainly been playing well too. He's a little bit more expensive, so in that $9K range. So for me, I probably have more interest in LaVine. And then Vucevic too at center has been playing really, really well too. So, I mean, he's another guy that priced at that 8K range that I think is just a great GPP play as well. So those are the 3 guys I have most interest in, but probably for me, LaVine and Vucevic are probably 2 of the guys that I'm looking at the most on the Chicago side.
Yeah, I mean, when all 3 of these guys are healthy, it's really tough. But Vooch has been playing fantastic here recently, and I mean, just the likes of Williams and Horford against Vooch, if they continue to keep feeding him the basketball, he's someone that can rebound at such a high rate. You look at the last 10 games and double-digit rebounds, and I think in 7 of those games. So he can rebound at such a high rate that I like the spot for Vooch. 8K is tough. LaVine, he's so hit or miss. He's such a great large field, tournament play. But I mean, Vooch, he's averaging 47 against this team in 3 meetings. DeRozan has been fantastic against the Celtics this season. He gets up for this game every time. So I like him for tournaments as well. Like most nights, I like to rank Chicago. And if I'm ranking the big three for Chicago today, it's Vooch, DeRozan, Levine. Outside of that, I mean, don't know if you're going to need to. Patrick Williams, 4,400, depending on the value that opens up today, he's going to play 35 minutes. I mean, it's just, you know what you're getting out of him. You know you're getting the minutes out of him. So that's why you're kind of paying up. I will say that in a couple matchups against this team this season, he's gotten into some foul trouble. I know at least one of them he got into foul trouble. So just that's the only worry that you have here. But he'll play the minutes, and AU is going to play minutes. No Marcus Smart might benefit him, but I would probably go Williams over AU. On the Boston side, I mean, here's the thing, right? Derek White is 5,100. We know he's going to play big minutes. He's going to be one of the top value plays on the entire slate. Brogdon getting some minutes here recently makes him very interesting for large field tournaments. But I mean, at the end of the day, your ceiling guys are Brown and Tatum. They're just really expensive. What are your thoughts over here on Boston?
Yeah, very similar to your Stevies. I mean, Tatum and Brown, they're both very expensive. They're guys that I rarely get to unless one of them is out. So I doubt I'll end up getting to those guys. I mean, they're fine plays. They're just priced up there, like you mentioned. And with Smart being out, yeah, I'm looking at Brogdon and White. And I mean, if you kind of look back at the last few games for Brogdon, I mean, he doesn't get the minutes that White does, but he's still been getting 28, 25, 26 minutes. And he's had a couple of big ceiling games where he's had close to 40 fantasy points in the last 2 out of 3 outings. So I think, Brogdon, like you said, White's probably one of the better value plays right now. But Brogdon, I think, is a really great tournament pivot in that same game. And then I think you could throw Robert Williams in there for a value GPP play too. He's 4,100. And he had a nice outing last time too. So he's more of a tournament play for me, but I think he's in that conversation as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's been on a minutes restriction. If you could get that game where they're going to give him 4 or 5 extra minutes,
right.
Get that game right, and like his ceiling just goes up. Jared Goff just threw a dime.
Did he?
Dime. That was a great throw. As much the crap we give Jared Goff, like,
right?
So that was a good throw. But we're moving on. We got the Bucks and the Knicks up next. 221.5 total here. The Bucks a 2-point favorite in this one. On the Milwaukee side, Middleton remains out, and then on the Knicks side, Barrett is doubtful. So really just kind of two guys that we're looking at here on the injury report night before. We'll go Bucks first. Giannis is 12K. It's 6-game slate. Raw points matter. I mean, he has to be at the top of the list as far as raw points. I mean, Jokic is playing the Lakers, and, we can make the argument, but the fact is Jokic has a lot more help than Giannis right now. So, I mean, the argument for me is, like, do we just kind of plug in Giannis here and call it a day? Drew is 7,400. I love this price tag on Drew today. I don't know how many teams I built with Giannis and Drew, but I love the price tag on Drew, and I could see these guys combining for like 100 and maybe like realistically like 100, 110. And I think at Holiday's price, that's perfectly fine on a 6-game slate.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, those two are just going to get all the points. Giannis, I think he is the best spend on the slate for sure. Still no Middleton, like you said. Yeah, we know where their production is going to be. I mean, I think, on the GPP side, Portis is starting to get up there in price, but I mean, he's had some really good games. It's just, you never know for sure. I mean, he's usually in that 25 to 27 minute range. So interesting GPP play, but yeah, for me, really Giannis. And like you said, Holiday's coming in at a really nice price too, now that he's kind of getting back in and hopefully getting some minutes increase here too. So I agree. Giannis is one of the top spends.
Brook Lopez is just solid in this spot. I wish he was a little bit cheaper. He's someone that's capable of 40 plus. So, like, if you're not playing Giannis and you want to go like Drew and Lopez and just hope Giannis goes for 60 instead of 80, I mean, 60 still on this slate might be enough. But, if you're not playing Giannis, you're probably playing Jokic, or you're playing like Tatum or someone else in that like game that we just talked about, or LeBron. I think you could probably get 2 of those guys today. We'll see. I mean, we have solid value here night before, and I mean, there's Memphis is at least one team on a back-to-back, and so on the Knicks side, like RJ Barrett being doubtful, I mean, it just kind of continues to open the road here for Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson to keep doing their thing. I mean, not the greatest matchup in the world, but if this game's going to stay close, these two guys are going to be the reasons why. I think both of them are fantastic tournament plays today. And I don't mind Quickly. He's been playing a ton of minutes here. He's a little bit more expensive than I'd want to pay for him. But those are the 3 that I'm looking at here. Mitch Robb, the minutes are there. Maybe you take some shots on him in large field tournaments to be different. But, I mean, those are the 4 guys that I wrote down for the Knicks. Am I missing something here?
No, not at all. It's funny because that's exactly as I was kind of taking notes before we did the show too, Stevie. I'm like, yeah, for me, Randall and Brunson, I mean, are just great tournament plays. For me, probably more Brunson. He's a little bit cheaper. But I mean, Randall's got 31% usage, Brunson 31% usage too, with Barrett out. Just incredible plays. And, Vegas has this game projected to be close. So I like that. I do like Quickly too. I mean, he's ranks 3rd in usage at 21% after Brunson. There's kind of a big drop off, but he gets minutes. We know Tibbs gives the guys minutes. So we know where the production is kind of going. So certainly don't mind Quickly, like you said. And then I thought the same thing too, Mitch Robb, he's in that price point where, he's definitely worth a shot in GPPs. Am I going to play him on my single entry or first couple lineups? No, but certainly want to include him in the pool. But I do have a ton of interest in Brunson and Randall for sure.
John Brown and Derek, everyone's saying hi on YouTube. What's up? John Brown, great catch today. Fantastic touchdown. Turned back the time with those wheels. So great catch. San Antonio at Memphis, back-to-back for Memphis. No total out here. I mean, we're going to be waiting on some news in this one. The Memphis side for sure. Like John Morant did not play on Sunday with a thigh injury. Is he going to be back? On the San Antonio side, Johnson is questionable. Vassal's out, and Podol is expected to play. He's probable. So, yeah, I mean, John Morant's second end of a back-to-back. Were they just sitting him on the first end? I mean, were they just sitting Steven Adams? He was sick. So a lot to be paying attention to just in general in this game, because with Johnson questionable, Vassal already out. I mean, the first person that we're looking at on the Spurs side is probably Trey Jones, but he's $6K now. You hate the price tag for him. If Johnson sits, so can at $5K is someone that I think you have to look at. And I think Jakob Podol at 5,900, like he should play really solid minutes. He was back over 30 minutes here recently. So yeah, I mean, this game is ugly. Like overall, this game is ugly, but there's a lot to look at in this game just because of, players being out.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And like you said, kind of need to know what's happening on the Memphis side, like, with Ja being out tonight, such. I mean, obviously changed the slate there too. Tyus Jones would be an incredible play. Desmond Bane. I mean, even Tillman got the start tonight too. And with Adams being out. So yeah, we kind of need to see what's going on there, but there could be some great plays there. And like you said, on the San Antonio side too, with Keldon and Vassal being out, yeah, really Trey Jones is the guy. He is priced up. And then Jeremy Sohan too. I think, at 5K, you certainly need to take a look too. Once in a while, he can get into some foul trouble. But he's had some big ceiling games too and shown some big upside. So those are probably a couple of the guys I'm looking for on the San Antonio side.
Memphis side, I mean, Tyus Jones had a big game. We know at this point, like, you just don't even look at the numbers. You're just like, hey, Tyus Jones, no John Morant, plug in, Tyus Jones. So, that's just something like you're just at that point. So you mentioned Tillman. If Adams is out again, I think Tillman's interesting. Do they sit anybody on the back-to-back and let these guys come back? So, I mean, Memphis is interesting depending on who's in and who's out. What are your general thoughts here for the Grizzlies?
Yeah, exactly right. And yeah, Tyus Jones, I mean, he's just incredible. I mean, he started out really, really slow tonight and then just ended up with some incredible numbers. Desmond Bain too, he's still priced really well too. So ton of interest in him, even really regardless, even if Jaw is in or not, have interest in him. But if Jaw's out, it's going to be a great play. Jaren Jackson has shown some really great upside too in the last couple of outings. So interest in him. Tillman, I definitely have interest in a value piece if Adams does sit. And then the guy that's more of just a GPP play for me is Dylan Brooks. I have more interest in the first four guys I mentioned, and Dylan Brooks, you could throw him in kind of some tournaments as well.
The only problem, Christian Watson, first of all, is just he's so talented. He's so extremely talented. If he can stay healthy, he's going to be a top 10 wide receiver. All right. Yes. Sorry, totally sidetracked by that amazing catch just now. But what I was going to say was the only problem that like Dylan Brooks, see, totally sidetracked. Dylan Brooks is my issue with him is like he's just so scoring dependent, like fantasy wise. It's very rare for him to get double digit combined like rebounds and assists. It happens from time to time, but you're just so like he's someone that I would much more like go over to Sleeper and say, hey, I'll take a point prop on him instead of trying to play him in the DFS world. But I love the Desmond Bain call coming off a big game. Yes. Triple J had a really good game last night. If Adams is out again, his minutes are just still all over the place. If we could get consistent minutes for Triple J, gosh, we just got to get rid of these like 20, 24, 25-minute games. I know they happen a little bit more recently on like games that just aren't close, but he's one of the first guys off the court when the games aren't close, and it's always super concerning. But his upside is just it's real. So John Morant's out. Ton of interest in Tyus Jones. If Adams is out, Tillman and Triple J. But yeah, I mean, just kind of see like if someone else sits on the second end of a back-to-back and those guys are back, they'll be interesting. So yeah, I mean, a game that's 12-game slate. We're probably not spending as much time on this, but a 6-game slate, definitely a game to pay attention to. News-driven game here on a smaller slate. So we got Lakers at Nuggets, 239.5 total. These last two games to finish out the slate are banger games. I mean, we got high totals. We got Nuggets favored by 8.5 in this one. On the Denver side, Jeff Green is out and Peyton Watson is out. And then the Lakers side, Troy Brown Jr. is questionable. AD remains out. Reeves and Lonnie Walker remain out as well. Going to the Lakers first. They're going into Denver here tonight. I mean, LeBron's probable, totally expected to play in this one. What are your thoughts here on the Lakers?
Yeah, I mean, you have to have interest in LeBron. I mean, I think he's in the conversation. I mean, we talked about Giannis being one of the top spends, but LeBron's right there too. With still no Anthony Davis, he gets a ton of usage. Thomas Bryant has been playing great with no Anthony Davis. Getting the minutes, getting some big points. So I think he's a really, really great play. And then just on the tournament side, because they are missing so many guys, I think you could throw Dennis Schroeder in there. Westbrook's had a couple of big games coming off the bench too. He's priced up there, so that's really more of a large field GPP for me. But yeah, interest in LeBron and Thomas Bryant are probably two of the guys that I have interest in the most. And then I would also throw Schroeder in there mostly for kind of a last piece filler, if you will.
Yeah, Lakers are tough for me. They're just such a tough team. I worry about like Thomas Bryant struggling against Jokic in this game.
Oh yeah, for sure.
If he could stay out of foul trouble and play 32 minutes in this game, he could smash. So like, I think like if you're playing like anything more than like 3 teams, I think you get some exposure to Bryant. I don't hate the Schroeder call. He's all over the place, but he's playing a gazillion minutes right now. And, with Reeves and Walker remaining out, I mean, I don't see the minutes kind of going anywhere. Like, yeah. So, I mean, those are the two guys that I'm looking out outside of like LeBron, Bryant, Schroeder. But yeah, I mean, Lakers are tough, but the only good thing about the Lakers is like in close games, they're playing their guys a ton of minutes. So, I mean, kind of projecting where the minutes are going to go is fantastic. But tournament wise, I think you got to like Russell Westbrook right now. He looks like old old Westbrook. So like if he's just going to keep doing this, I don't know. I think that with Anthony Davis out, with these guys out, and they're giving him the minutes, I think you keep playing Russell Westbrook right now. Denver side, I mean, Jokic is phenomenal. Again, I would probably rank Giannis ahead of Jokic today. And that's just one of the reasons that like Jamal Murray at 6,800 just seems a little underpriced today.
Exactly.
Michael Porter Jr. at 5,900, I think, is someone you could look at in tournaments. But yeah, I mean, you could play Jokic. I'm not saying don't play Jokic. He probably scores 60 to 65 fantasy points today. I just think that like most slates, Giannis is going to outscore Jokic today. And when they're like, I think it's like $300 difference. I prefer Giannis today. And usually it's the other way around. I'm not a huge Giannis person. What are your thoughts here on Denver?
Yeah, I agree. I really do like Jamal Murray's price too. I mean, he's under 7K, and I just think he's one of the better GPP plays for guards. I mean, he should get strong minutes. I mean, he's shown some good ceiling games recently too. So I really like that when you mentioned him. I had written him down as a strong GP play. And I agree. I mean, I think Jokic, I think if Giannis ends up carrying a ton of the ownership, Jokic would make a good pivot for one of the top spends on the slate. Cause I mean, obviously they both have great upside. So for me, it's just mostly Jokic and Jamal Murray. Porter is fine. If you kind of land him on as a last piece too at 5,900, but Jamal Murray, I certainly definitely will consider him even in some single entry stuff as things sit tonight.
All right, we finish out with my Orlando Magic going into Sacramento playing the Kings. 238.5 total in this one. Kings a 6-point favorite. On the Kings side, I mean, everyone looks good to go. On the Magic side, Bull Boyle is out. Harris got sent down. Jonathan Isaac remains out, and Okiki remains out. So, I mean, for as far as like the Magic and injuries this season, I mean, they're pretty close to being full strength, and Sacramento's pretty full strength. I mean, if I'm stacking a game on this slate, it's probably this one. I mean, I do think that Boston total is really interesting, that like Vegas thinks it's going to be that high. So that game I think is stackable as well. But let's talk Magic first. Going into Sacramento, I mean, the guy that's kind of jumping off the page to me here a little bit is Wendell Carter Jr. He seems a little underpriced at 6,400, in and out of the lineup, but the minutes are there. We know that Paulo Banchero is probably like the high ceiling guy for the Magic right now. Fultz has these games where he just shows up and has big games. I mean, 6,100, like all of these guys are interesting. And I will note like Cole Anthony's minutes are kind of getting back into that like 30-minute role. Does that change like with Jalen Suggs being back or not? So talk to me about the Magic here.
Yeah, I agree. Wendell Carter does seem a little bit underpriced, and I think he's an interesting play. And Markelle Fultz, too, I do. I think he's a really good and interesting pivot. He's priced the same, similar to Trey Jones, within $100 or so. And I think Trey Jones will probably carry some more ownership on the San Antonio side with all those guys being out, with Keldon and Vassell being out. So I think he's a very interesting, because, yeah, I mean, he can have some big upside and put up some points in a hurry. Kind of that last game of the slate, like you said, it makes an interesting game stack. So I think Fultz, Paulo Banchero, like you said, and Carter, those are probably the three that I have the most interest on the Orlando side. But, I do think this is a very interesting game stack, getting a couple pieces then on the Sacramento side too. But yeah, for me, probably those three are the guys I'm looking at the most.
All right, let's go to that Sacramento side. I mean, Sabonis should have a field day with the Magic here. I like his chances to continue this like 50-point streak. He's just expensive at 10.5. Also think like his price could potentially keep his ownership down. I think this is a really good spot for Fox. The Magic have been terrible against guards all season. And I also think like Herter is someone that's been shooting the ball well, and he could do really well here against this perimeter defense. Listen, I watch the Magic play a lot. They're my favorite team, and we don't play defense. So I think it's a fantastic spot for the Kings.
Yeah, oh, no doubt. And like you said, Sabonis and Fox, a really great plays, and they probably are going to go overlooked, just with a lot of great plays going on earlier in the slate. So I think I like that. I like the Kevin Huerter call too. Just kind of a nice mid-tier guy. I mean, Harrison Barnes isn't always a guy that, he's just kind of a steady guy, kind of gets you your points and stuff. So maybe a last minute filler if you need somebody in that range. I mean, Huerter, I would rather get to him just for a little bit more upside. But yeah, I do like Fox and Sabonis a ton, and it would be nice to get 3, 4, 5 pieces of this whole game for a little game stack.
Yeah, I like this game. I mean, for a 6-game slate, we have some really good games today. So really interested to see like how like injury news changes the slate, because right now I really like this slate. I think it's a fantastic slate.
It is a slate, yeah.
There's like 3 player props that I have already written down to like check in the morning to see what they're at. So I really like this slate. I think this slate's going to be really fun. Good way to start the week off here. Play the morning grind game, and then we'll get out of here and go watch the end of the Green Bay game. So favorite play under 5,000 on DraftKings to go for 7X. Who is the value play that you like today?
I am going to say I am going to go with Robert Williams for Boston.
I like it. Like, this is an easy answer for me if we knew that like John Morant's out, Tyus Jones 4,900, like that, just plug and play type of play. With not knowing like whether or not he's going to play or not, I'm going to go with Jose Alvarado 4,500. I really like this upside. Man, Aaron Rodgers just threw it terrible. I don't know like what just happened. Maybe there was a flag or something, but it was not good. Anyway, over 8K to go under 5X. Who's your bust today at the top?
Over 8K, I am going to go with oh boy. I think I'm going to go just because he's so expensive. I think I'm actually going to go Porzingis. I mean, he has a good matchup, but he's gotten up there price-wise. So I'm going to go Porzingis.
No issues with that. Yeah, this one's tough today. I like a lot of the spend up. This is why I like the slate so much. I like a lot of the spend up options on this slate. I'm gonna go Jaylen Brown. He's 9,500.
I consider it.
Yeah, I like his ceiling. I like his upside. I could see this being like a close game, and I could see him doing well. But yeah, for me, this is an interesting spot. So, favorite 6X play today. Who do you got?
Favorite 6X play. I am going to go with. I'm going to go with Najee Marshall. I know he's priced up there, but I think he's had some big games, so I'll go Marshall.
I like Valanciunas today. I think this is a really solid spot for him. I think I think he's going to continue to get double-doubles, get that nice little bonus. I like him to go over 40 fantasy points today. So I like this spot for Valanciunas.
I like that.
Let's get weird GPP play of the day. Anyone standing out to you that you think is going to be under 10% owned that could be a difference maker?
Let's see. As of tonight, I'm going to throw out under 10% ownership. I'm just going to throw out Portis out there. I mean, he'll get overlooked just because he's priced up there, but I just think he's an interesting GPP play.
I like that call. Like, the price is definitely going to be a determining factor for that. So
exactly.
I like it. I'm struggling today. Usually like this question is really easy for me and I find someone that I really like that's going to be low owned. But I'm going to go Kevin Huerter. I don't think he'll get a ton of ownership today. Maybe I'm wrong and he is someone that, becomes popular, but I think that like this is a spot we could see him make like 4, 5, 6 threes against this perimeter defense. So I like Kevin Huerter today. Any bets, anything standing out to you here night before that you want to look at?
I haven't really looked into that too much. I know you mentioned you had a few that you were looking at, Stevie, but I haven't really looked at that too in depth yet. So yeah, I don't have anything.
No, that's fine. I'd rather you say you don't have anything when you don't, or try to force something. So the listeners appreciate that as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm going to be looking at Valanciunas' point rebound prop. That's something that I really have a ton of interest in, and I also have a ton of interest in Vucevic's point and rebound top prop. I want to see what those come out yet. I also like everything in my bones tells me that the Celtics Bulls at 237 is high. I need to look into that more because I mean it just seems really high to me. But yeah, I mean those are the three things that I'm going to be looking at here in the morning. But any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No, like you said, this is a really, really great 6-game slate. A lot of different ways to go, so it's just great for tournaments. So yeah, I think it's going to be a great one, and yeah, good to do the show with you.
Always fun hanging out, catching up. You know, you're doing all this live final traveling and stuff, so you know, gotta squeeze a podcast out of you every once in a while. That's gonna wrap it up here for Monday. We'll be back tomorrow talking some more hoops. Hope everyone had a fantastic weekend. We will see you again tomorrow.